What is up, Shticklers? We have a fun episode for you today. It's going to be nice and sweet. We're going to start off with a new trailer, Deadpool and Wolverine. Super excited about that. Then we're going to get into our reviews. We have the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Almost got it out. Cool. We have X-Men 97, Episode 6, and we have Shogun Episode 9. So stick with us.
The Joystick Show. The Joystick Show.
How's it, Shticklers? The Joystick Show is back to talk story about things we've read, watched, or played. Shaka's Mahalos for sticking around. If you fancy what you hear, please like and subscribe on the platform you frequent. I'm your co-host Drake. That's Thomas.
What up, what up?
And that's Scott.
How's it?
And welcome to episode 139? I'm pretty sure.
It's 140.
140? It is. Welcome to episode 140. We've got some beautiful trailers for you that are going to be fantastic. Obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine. And we'll get into some reviews about some things we watched. Ungentlemanly Warfare, or I should say the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. And of course, our favorite X-Men 97 and Shogun Episode 9. So why don't we just kick it off with the trailers. Deadpool and Wolverine. Obviously, we've been waiting for this. We're going to have to wait a little bit longer for July. But what were our thoughts? What were our feelings? What were our emotions exuding as we watched this trailer?
This was incredible. Scott.
Yes.
Yes.
That's it. Move on. Moving on.
All right, cool. Moving on. There was Deadpool. There was Wolverine. It was tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it looked insane.
Yeah.
I almost didn't want to watch it just because I'm already sold, right? But I feel like they did a good job of still not ruining everything. I still don't know the whole movie because we've seen trailers that do that.
Right. They didn't give us much. I don't know what this story's about.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just enough to be whoa, there's some new characters I'm excited to see. And
For sure.
the things they did see were not what is it? Nods to older movies, when they're showing the old Fox films or whatnot. So we're familiar with those scenes anyway. So it was perfect, I thought. I'm so on board with this movie.
Yeah. I agree. The reprisal of some characters that we love seeing that were in the OG Deadpool. I really enjoy the fact that Ryan Reynolds has taken this IP and carried everybody with it moving forward, and continues to give homage to not only the character but bringing back Hugh Jackman and pushing that through for us, the fans, and to potentially push forward what we're going to be seeing from Marvel. This is the epitome, I think, of what the crescendo of what's going to be Marvel to come, and just mimicking how fantastic it was.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I don't think anybody else could have got Hugh Jackman to come back and do a movie other than Ryan Reynolds.
Maybe the Prime Minister of Australia?
Or maybe
If he was making a movie,
Yeah.
Deadpool movie,
Yeah,
then yes. Only those two people though.
only those two people.
Yeah, and it had to be this movie.
Executive producer, Prime Minister of Australia.
That'd
Not
be funny
even
if
their
they just
name.
added that.
Right,
No.
right. I don't know what their name is. I'm sorry. But yep, not their name, just that.
Sure, they're great.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some highlights in this. I love the callback to the first time we see Wolverine in the bar,
Yeah.
and then how Deadpool's being Deadpool and commenting on what was probably one of the coolest scenes, seeing his claws come out of his fist for the first time, right? And then we're like, oh fuck, they're coming out slow, and then Deadpool immediately makes a joke on it.
Yeah.
I'm impotent, so I'm
What
like,
is
okay,
this?
that's cool.
Yeah, what is it? Something problems getting it out for Wolverines after 40 or something like that.
Yeah,
More
yeah,
than 40
something.
or something. Yeah. Oh man.
Keeping the scene fresh. Other things we see, powerful psychic. Was doing some research. It seems this is Professor X's sister, right?
Bald.
Cassandra?
Yes, Cassandra Nova. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems being bald runs in the family, so they got that. And she seems really powerful. You saw a little scene of her just going boom, 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 and moving his claws into the ground. It was pretty cool.
That was a perfect
Yeah,
That was a
verbatim
very
rendition.
reenact- I know
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know
Which
the scene.
precisely.
You see the trailer, you know the scene. Another standout was they showed right before that a giant Ant-Man mask just opening up, and
yes.
that's her like that's gnarly. Immediately I was like, did he die in something we saw? But it's probably like some multiverse where he dies or something, right? Like I don't remember
Right.
him
Like
dying
where
or something, but
he would die as Giant Man too,
as
which
a
would be
giant, yeah.
crazy. Yeah, like do you think that is Scott Lang's Giant Man, Ant Man in that
It would be
with the skull?
hilarious if that was. It would be hilarious if that was the case, though, because the story behind it would be obviously something to think about and talk about.
Yes, it would be something
Yep.
to think about.
Yup.
Well
He said it'd be hilarious,
defined.
and I was waiting for it to be like, how do you think he died? And you're like, because we really talk about it, and like
Yeah,
probably
but
cry.
what he,
I'm like,
yeah,
wait, what? How's that
whatever the
funny?
story would be, we would chat.
Yep, we
I
would.
think
We would definitely.
and we would probably have thoughts.
Yep.
You know, we would
We
think
would
put it
put it
out
out
there.
thoughts, and we
Yeah.
would chat words, and yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
pretty crazy. No,
Man.
yeah, I don't know. I wonder. There was a few different Ant-Man references in this trailer, and made me think: are we getting Paul Rudd? That would be pretty sick. Some other side characters that we did get that we are for sure getting. We got Azazel from X-Men First Class. For a long time, people thought it was Nightcrawler's dad. We are getting Lady Deathstrike, who was played by Kelly Hu. I don't
Kelly
know if that's
Hu?
Kelly Hu. Yeah.
Oh.
Who? Wait, who?
Kelly who?
Haley, who now?
Kelly.
Who?
Kelly.
Who?
Yes. Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, yes.
Find out who she is later.
Exactly. So we'll see if it's the same actress or not.
Yeah.
But it looks like there's Toad there. We saw Pyro. If you really zoom in, you can see him in the background. And then yeah, Cassandra Nova, which was long rumored to be the villain. You kind of got to see her a little bit in the teaser trailer that came out. And this we got to see her in all her glory. She's played by what is her name? Emma Corrin, who was in The Crown. I think she played like Lady Diana. Yeah, she was really good in that. So, yeah, she looks cool. We also see that Tom Wamsgans from Succession, he is playing Mr. Paradox for the TVA. But it also looked like he got punched in the face by somebody. So, what do you think that's about? Like, who punched him?
Probably Giant Man right before he died.
That'd be funny.
He would have just
No,
flipped him.
maybe
Right in the
Deadpool
nose.
punched him. You think? I don't know.
Yeah.
Got a shot in.
Colossus.
Maybe. Yeah. Colossus. dude,
Just like
dead.
other people.
Yeah, just nobody in the scene.
Yeah.
I think it's probably Wolverine. The reason why he's in the floor in that scene too. I'm like, at some point he was just pissed, punch him in the face.
Can you imagine getting punched by Wolverine?
With
That's
it
the
without his
hardest
claws.
punch you've ever been
Yeah,
hit by. I mean,
It's-
okay,
it's like
we said
brass
Colossus earlier,
knuckles.
but
inside
Yeah,
the
it's like-
skin.
Yeah.
yeah, it's the hardest punch you get punched with, thinking it'd be a normal punch. You're like, oh, this is
Yeah.
gonna hurt, and you're like, what the f-? Like, just get hit with these, under the skin brass knuckles, like adamantium knuckles.
Just straight knocked out.
Drake, has anybody ever put like brass knuckles in a boxing glove during a match?
I believe somebody has has taken off some of the padding so that when they do hit, they're hitting more with their knuckles so they can hit harder in the face.
Dirty.
So
Yeah,
like
some
that.
dirty things like that. Just
Yeah.
straight bare knuckle boxing in your face,
Boom.
but with adamantium.
Yeah. So
Something to
Yeah.
chat about later.
Something to chat about later.
yeah, so that we can think thoughts about as well.
Next time.
But yeah, I think it was, I think it was pretty cool. I'm wondering what Wolverine did that caused his whole world to die, or his whole universe to die. There's
Right.
that thought
Because
too.
they're really pinning it on him.
I hope it's tied to the yellow
Yeah.
suit.
Really, how could they?
Because, well, so for example, in the original, right, if we think that that's the dimension or the realm that they live in, maybe something has to do with the yellow suit where he chose the yellow suit, or they all chose their like original X-Men suits, and that somehow shaped the universe differently. My
like
creative
butterfly
juices are,
effect.
yeah, something like that. But
I
it'd just be
kind of
funny.
like that because
Yeah.
yeah, it would be funny if it was something really stupid.
Oh,
Yeah,
he,
'cause-
he goes yellow. They go on a stealth mission. They're the reason they all get seen. They all die, but he lives because he can regenerate.
Yeah,
And then-
yeah. Oh, fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah,
There you go. There
that's
you go.
awesome. Yeah.
Do you
That'd be
think
funny.
it has anything to do with X-Men the Animated Series / X-Men 97? Does this feel like the same Wolverine? Does it feel like a different one? And does this Wolverine also feel like a different one that we got in the X-Men movies and Logan? Is this a variant?
I want to say it feels like a variant. I feel like because Logan feels much more mature and dark. The original OG Wolverine feels a lot more like Tom Cruise Maverick style type situation. It felt very Top Gun to me. And this one feels a little bit more like not beaten down, but like has a chip on its shoulder from what I've seen. But
Yeah. Because in the trailer they go to that scene where it's like him in the bar or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I assume there was that. But do you think we see more than one Wolverine, and then eventually we get a version?
ooh,
That one doesn't work out, and then he goes to a different timeline. There's another different Wolverine, and then he ends up getting the one like almost like an X-Men 97 Wolverine
Yeah.
where he got the yellow suit instead.
That would be, that would make sense because if this is Hugh Jackman's last time as Wolverine, let's get the most out of Hugh Jackman being Wolverine. Like,
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah.
It's efficient.
It is. And it looks like, dude, he looks so badass.
Yeah.
The fight between, it was like an extended version of Deadpool and Wolverine. It looks so much cooler. Like, oh my God. And apparently Deadpool's getting adamantium swords. Like, he's getting
Sick.
adamantium bullets too. Like, oh, dude, oh man, the fights look so good in this.
Yeah, that little fight we got to see, like the little bits of that fight we got to see of him fighting Wolverine were really cool. Like Wolverine on top of him, he's just like unloading guns into his sides.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
insane. The amount of pain Wolverine has to go through just to heal, you know?
Oh,
He's
what about
eating
getting
so many
stabbed
shots.
in the ass?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he got like
Yeah.
stabbed, like right in the gooch, it seemed like.
Yeah.
Yes. Right in the
Taint, if you
region.
would.
Yeah, right in
Yeah.
the taint.
Yeah.
Right between the nutsack and the whole bowl. I was just thinking, wouldn't it be cool if they took vibranium and then they took adamantium and they like folded the steels together to make like a katana? That'd be so sick because you could use the vibranium to hold kinetic energy, and then the adamantium could be used to like slice through with the extra kinetic energy of what the vibranium is having.
Ooh, like a adamantium edge, but the sides are vibrating, so you can like absorb shots.
Yeah.
So the side he
And
turns
then-
his katana sideways.
That'd be
So
cool.
if I'm not mistaken, not to be that guy, but I'm pretty sure adamantium is a vibranium mixed alloy.
Nerd. Oh, that's awesome.
For real, but I mean, I think that's what it is.
Vibranium is adamantium's a vibranium mix? Wait.
Yeah,
What did
yeah.
it say?
It's an alloy of adamantium is an alloy of
Oh,
vibranium.
vibranium.
Mixed with something.
How come
Yeah.
it doesn't retain the kinetic properties that vibranium
Maybe they
does?
just took that part out. I was watching
Oh.
a thing too. They're like, oh, now we're going real tangent, but if they were to put vibranium into Wolverine, he might just explode from all the kinetic energy, like being dispersed in his body.
yeah.
They'd
'Cause
have to
his
like
flesh,
only do it
yeah.
on like if it was like the inside of him, he just boom and like all his flesh would blow
Oh
off, and
my
then
God. It's
have to
like,
come back. Yeah, just blow his heart out.
yeah. Damn.
He'd just be like a walking kamikaze all the time.
Damn.
Yeah. Oh, his name could be Kamikaze instead.
He'd be a different mutant, but it'd be
Oh,
just
yeah.
as cool. Write it.
Crazy.
Write it down.
It's a Marvel. Yeah, so it looks phenomenal. Like the jokes are landing too. I do love the end too, where Blind Al she's like, "You want to do some?" And they're just saying all
That was
these different things, like white
It's like
girl
they gave us a
interrupted.
list. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
know it. They know the list. Like they
Yeah.
know all the words for it.
I know. And he's like, and Kevin Feige said that's like the only thing that we couldn't talk about or
That's
do.
so funny.
Yeah, which is so funny. I love like the meta humor in this. It's just, oh man,
Yeah, it's
it looks
great.
like it's gonna be great.
It's a Marvel's movie. It's a Marvel's movies, Marvel fans.
movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a fighter's fighter? Is that Marvel's movie? I don't know.
Yeah,
Does
like
that
a
make
mom's
sense?
mom or a
Yeah,
gal's
like a-
girl.
Yeah. Or like a dog's dog.
Speaking of dog, we did get Dogpool.
Oh,
We
yeah,
did get
yeah.
Dogpool.
I wonder if he listens
Kelly?
to commands. Who?
Yeah.
Wait for it.
All right. Yeah. But yeah. Anyways, it was a solid trailer. I think it like took the day by storm. That was like the biggest thing that happened today, and oh, God, July 25th can't come fast enough. I think, man, I don't know. What's the over under for me seeing it 3 times in theaters?
Yeah.
You're gonna see it 5 times.
July 25th?
Yes.
Oh man, your birthday weekend, huh?
Yep. And
Wow.
That's all you're
Comic-Con
gonna do that
weekend.
weekend.
And Comic-Con weekend. Damn.
I don't know.
Oh,
just
you gotta go
explode.
Comic-Con.
Explode like Vibranium Wolverine, I guess. Just do
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
everything.
know that vibranium, if you mix that with something else, you get adamantium? I just learned that the other day.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Shit,
know,
whoever
yeah.
told you
Yeah,
that is a genius.
rocks.
Nerd.
Mix that with
Yeah.
some rock. It's a fact.
Some gemstones.
So we did get one other trailer that you guys were talking about. Drake, you said you watched it. You did a little video on the
Oh, yeah,
story
yeah,
at
yeah,
Josh
yeah, yeah.
Hartnett. What
Josh
was
Hartnett.
tell us a little bit about this trailer.
The trailer was called Trap, and we have obviously the R//trap
What is that?
joke that we talk about on this podcast. It is a
where is
different thing entirely, 100% separate. But this is
I'll
an
put it in the
M
show
Night.
notes.
If you put the link in the show notes, that'd be so funny. But it's M Night Shyamalan. I believe it's in the same universe as Glass and the other things that M Night Shyamalan did. I'm pretty
Split.
sure Split and
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable. It's Trap, and it is Josh Hartnett, and the scene is like they're driving up to this huge Coliseum slash like event, right? Music event. And what seems like his daughter's getting out. She's super excited, and Josh Hartnett's like, "Oh man, aren't you glad? Blah 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 blah. We're here. Blah blah blah." They go inside. They get their tickets, their seats, and the show is going, and everybody's like, "Yeah!" And then all of a sudden, Josh Hartnett's like, "I gotta use the bathroom." Then he starts looking around, and he starts seeing that there's police officers, and they're like standing by the doors, and they're looking at all the people, and he talks to the swag guy, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on? Why are these police people here?" And he's like, "Oh, the butcher, the guy who's been murdering everybody and cutting them up, they got a tip that guy's here, and so it's a trap." Roll credits. And then Josh Hartnett does they zoom in on his face, and he does like a weird eye twitch. And then they cut to him checking his phone, and there's like a guy hanging from handcuffs in a basement somewhere. And it essentially alludes to the fact that Josh Hartnett is this guy who's a serial killer. So a bunch of questions arise. How is he going to escape? Is he going to escape? What is his daughter going to think if she does find out? Are the police actually going to catch him? Is he going to, what is he going to do to get out of the situation? Scott, did you have like a similar vibe? Like, what interested you most about the movie based off the trailer?
Yeah, so first it says like M Night, so I'm like, okay, it's gonna be some kind of
A
weird,
twist.
different angle at least,
Yeah.
like an interesting angle. And but when it starts and he's like, it's a concert going on, they got good seats. It's like would it be like seems like a Taylor Swift equivalent type of concert, pretty big deal. And then he's
Very
like, I gotta
big
go to the
deal.
bathroom. Like, are you gonna be okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm fine, Dad. I'm like, dude, he's gonna John Wick this place or something. I'm like, someone's gonna kidnap his daughter. Like, I know this movie, but it's gonna be cool. Not the case. And then when he sees all the cops, I was like, oh fuck, is it like some big social experiment? Like Battle Royale or
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
I was like, oh my God. And then they're like, yeah, when he's like, oh, the butcher's here. And then his eye twitch, I'm like, whoa, this is cool because we know he's the fucking killer from the jump.
From the jump, yeah.
And it's like the fucking chances of him finding out the trap before, like, I mean, I guess he's a really smart dude and intuitive, but he just talked to the right guy who's like, I'm not supposed to tell anybody, but in case you're the butcher, and he tells him. But yeah, I'm just
In case you're
interested.
the
It's probably all gonna be, I'd assume, all in real time, unless they do some sort of flashbacks. But it's probably pretty exciting. It is
Yeah.
interesting though how calm he is though. Like he finds
Mm-mm.
out and he's like kind of like oh, like more like a okay.
Like he has
Like-
a plan already.
And then he goes
yeah.
to the bathroom and he's like admiring oh yeah, this guy's still at home. Can't wait to get back to this guy. Like he's not totally panicked. So it's gonna be really interesting to see like from a psychopath's point of view throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
And I'm interested, like, am I gonna kind of want this guy to escape, or am I gonna be like seeing him get away with things and be like, get him, he's right there, and then like he's just
Yeah.
like kind of winking at the camera, like, not this time, and I'm angry about it, So I'm interested to see what this movie's gonna entail. But it's a pretty cool premise. I'm excited.
Yeah, we get to see Josh Hartnett again. We haven't really seen him in anything recently, so
Yeah,
kind of
Yeah, it's
gonna be
been a
cool.
bit.
I think wasn't
He
I
was in
think he was in
something kind of recently.
Oppenheimer, and then he was also in Black Mirror.
Yeah, he's got to
How
step it up. He's not in enough good things.
Oppenheimer? Come on.
Right? Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure. But
I
yeah,
forgot. Yeah, and Black Mirror was pretty huge. That was
dude,
a
the
Yeah, yeah.
Black
really good
Mirror.
episode. Dark.
Yeah, with Aaron Paul and the way he like has to use his like android body back and like what he does with his family. Holy shit. This is actually perfect casting, I think, for Josh Hartnett,
Yeah.
considering like how good he was in that Black Mirror episode, which is like
Yeah.
those are 1-to-1 at this point. Like it was so good.
For the
Yeah, if you haven't watched
tomatoes.
that episode, go watch it. 'Cause that one is creepy.
Creepy.
Yeah, so yeah, I one thing it's like I don't always love M Night's movies anymore, but I always respect how he keeps at it and like the premises. 'Cause
Yeah,
the premises are
yeah.
always interesting. Like even Knock at the Cabin was really like okay, wait, are they like trying to kill this family because it's two gay dads? Are they just trying to like torture them? Are they crazy? All of that stuff, you go into
Yeah.
those questions just watching the trailer, and then by the end of it, either there confirms some things that you thought, or it's completely different. And I think, yeah, M Night just has like a certain style to it, which I respect it. I don't always love his stuff, but I respect his craft.
He definitely draws you in. He draws you in, and then he may or may not disappoint you, but he definitely draws you in.
Yeah. Did you guys watch Knock at the Cabin?
Yes.
I did.
Yeah. What did you guys
Dave
think about it,
Bautista.
real quick?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, that movie. I was thinking this while watching the movie, and it goes in what you're saying. Like, it always makes you think like, oh, is it gonna go this way? Is it gonna go that way? Blah blah blah. And then you think like, I remember watching that movie and thinking like, okay, if it is real, am I gonna like that? And if it's fake, am I gonna like that? Like, there's two possibilities. One's gonna have to be it. Like sometimes the journey is more exciting than like finding out what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes you just gotta like, okay, well, it's gotta wrap up somehow.
You're like, I
Maybe
hate
no one
both.
has a good ending to this, but like the fucking journey, like all like the oh my god, like all like that's all great, and you can't.
Yeah.
That's always great, it seems, in his movie. So at
Yeah,
least,
yeah,
I mean, if
yeah.
you enjoy most of the movie, I'd still say it's a pretty good movie, unless it's like super unjustified. Like I know, like there's some horror movies you're watching, and then you're just watching people get tortured the whole movie, and then it doesn't end good. And you're like, why did I watch that?
Yeah.
Like those are the only time. But other than that, his movies normally like keep me
Hostile.
engaged up to the end.
Yeah.
And I do. There's not a lot of movies that keep you like kind of guessing what's around the corner. Like knowingly like making you like I'm gonna outsmart this movie. Versus trying to be along for the ride. So I'm always down to watch them. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah.
So in that regard, I enjoyed it, even though the ending was what it was. It was still enjoyable.
Yeah, the thing you touched on is like the interactivity, right? Like M. Night Shyamalan does a really great job, as both of you had said, in bringing this sense of like not realness but like interaction, right? Like you're constantly thinking about what's going to happen. Some movies don't do that. Some movies do that too much. Some Christopher Nolan movies, you're like, what the fuck am I watching right now, right? Like you need multiple watches. But with M. Night Shyamalan, you're like you're almost going on the Disney ride, right? Like Pirates of the Caribbean, and you kind of know what's going to happen, but you don't really know what's going to happen, but it sets a really great environment and tone, and you're willing to go on the ride even though you may or may not have done it before. Thank you, M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, there's only one movie I don't ever want to go back on that ride, which was his Avatar
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
It's one of the only movies I could ever remember walking out of the theater. But
'Cause he was taking IP. I think when M. Night does things that aren't his own IP, it's real tough.
That didn't even have a twist. He was just trying to make a regular movie.
Yeah.
I think. And then he just failed. I'm
it's like
dude,
just stick to you, man. Okay.
Yeah, do you, Doug?
Just do
do what you
yeah.
do already, man.
With
Well,
the
it's
twist.
So this seems like a perfect segue. There is one director who did them, and it just does not seem like it worked out. I didn't watch it. Rebel Moon Part 2 came out. I think it was called like The Tear Giver or something. It might as well have been. I don't know.
Teargiver.
Because everybody who watched it was like, this was the worst movie I've
The
seen all
Scar
year.
Giver.
Oh,
Yeah.
Scar Giver.
Yeah, it gave the
Scarlett
scar
Johansson?
people's souls. But yeah, I don't think it landed very well. And I heard from all their other people who watched it, and they're like, "Wow, that was hot garbage." So I'm sure I'm gonna watch the director's
Yeah.
cut, or I'm gonna give it a watch at some point. It just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, same. I didn't watch it either, but I was reading up on that. But I did see an interview with him recently, and he's like, "Oh, Netflix is gonna allow me to release both of them in like an unrated version, like you're saying, director's cut, at some
Mm.
point, like later this year." So I might just go back and rewatch one and then watch two, because I think he really wanted. I guess he was inspired by
Star
what
Wars.
is that? There's like a comic he used to read, like Heavy Metal or something
Oh,
back in the day, and
okay.
it was like just like a lot of action, like boobs, like all kind of different things. Like he shouldn't have seen when he
Boobs.
was a kid. He
Boobs.
really mentioned that when he was he's like, yeah, I used to have to hide the comic from my mom because like I
It
wasn't supposed to
had
read it as a kid.
boobs.
Boobs, just
Boobs.
really
Yeah.
grab them. That's what he was saying. He didn't really say that, but
And I'm pretty sure direct quote.
direct quote. You could really grab them. Um, off the shelf because you could purchase them.
Oh
But
yeah.
so you're like, yeah, I guess he's gonna be able to release those. So maybe I'll check it out then, because at least it'll be the version he was like, because I guess he made the movies and Netflix was like, can you tone it back a bit? Because we want it for everyone. And he's like,
Yeah,
I
less
guess only
boobs,
if I can
okay?
put boobs in the later one. And then they're like, all right, dude, take
All
it easy,
right.
boob dude. And
Boob dude.
Boob.
yeah. So
Boob
I'll
dude.
just wait for that.
Shit.
Oh man, yeah. It just the first one was not that great, and it didn't hook me enough to go in for number two. And then I know we're not supposed to like let reviews sway us. We're supposed to watch for ourselves, but I just didn't hear one good thing about this part two, and I barely heard some good things about the part one. So I think this goes back to what we always say, or at least I always say about Zack Snyder, which is like the dude is an amazing director. He has a vision, he has a style, but I do not think he can write a compelling story. Like even with Sucker Punch, and I think that was pretty much just like a bunch of boobs, like murdering things and killing
It's a
stuff,
big
and
music
like
video. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, as a music video, it would be dope, like
Yeah.
awesome. But yeah, just the story didn't make any sense to me, and I think this is probably a lot like the same.
Yeah, and I honestly I was on a time crunch this weekend. I kind of forgot what happened in the first one, so I was like, I'm gonna have to rewatch the first one and then watch the second one. It's gonna be
Just watch
four
a review.
hours, 4.5 hours, and it didn't sound like it did too well. And I'm like, I'm gonna prioritize some time to watch some stuff, some other things, but it seemed like I made the right call there.
No, okay. The thing about how bad that is, like that movie, part one didn't come out that long ago, and
I
you
know,
can't
and I can't
remember.
really remember
And
anything.
it was like a short story. It's just man. Yeah. We'll see about the director's cut.
Yeah.
Something that everybody is saying is actually pretty good, even though the critic reviews haven't been that good. But all of the reviewers, like us, influencers, podcasters, blah blah blah, have been saying it's awesome. Even if you don't like horrors, is Abigail. So a lot of people are saying that movie has been really freaking awesome. It's a lot of fun. So at some point, hopefully this week,
Abigail.
I'm gonna have to go check out Abigail. So that's like super high on my list.
Okay,
Yeah,
sweet.
it's got like a 6.5, I think, on like IMDb. I've kind of given up on Rotten Tomatoes because I just feel like after I found out they were paying, for reviews or places
So rigged,
For the
right?
tomatoes.
exactly. There you go, Cooper Howard. I just like, yeah. Anyways, I can't trust them. So I'm gonna watch Abigail at some point. Do you guys have any thoughts on Abigail before we get into reviews?
Nah, I just gotta watch it.
Yeah, I just gotta watch it.
All right. Okay. Cool. So that brings us into reviews. Drake.
Oh,
You
shit.
watched something this weekend? Why don't you kick it off?
So this weekend I watched Guy Ritchie's The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which you could make a strong argument that is Guy Ritchie's version of Inglourious Bastards. But wonderful cast. Henry Cavill's in it. Alan Richardson is in it. Alex Pettyfer, Eiza Gonzalez, Bob's.
Golding.
Oh, Henry Gold. Oh yeah, Henry Golding was in that. Handsome Asian man. Babs Olusanmokun was also in it.
Nice. That's guy from Star Trek: New Stranger Worlds.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Also, Till Schweiger was in it, the guy who was actually in Inglourious Bastards, and Rory Kinnear played Churchill
Wait. So they just you were like, oh, it's like Inglorious Bastards, and then they literally had somebody from
from
Inglourious
Inglourious Bastards in
That's
it.
pretty
Yep,
funny.
yep, yep,
Okay.
yep, yep, yep.
Okay.
It's
Like we
super
really
hilarious.
want people to know that it's like that movie.
Yeah, it's super like that movie.
Yeah.
I would say that like Alan Ritchson, I don't know, in this movie he like really shines. Like his character work, he seems very playful. He seems to be in his element. He's murdering a lot of people, which is just fantastic to kind of see him go overboard because we've seen it in Reacher. And he just feels really at home. I think he really shines. Aside from Henry
He's an
Cavill.
archer too, right?
Oh yeah, he's technically he's a Dutchman who was born and raised like in the woods and wilderness, and the only reason why he joined the group is because I think the Nazis killed his parents or something of the sort. And
That's the only reason. No big
yeah,
deal.
that's the only reason. No big deal. And his whole skill
Typical
is
hero.
knives and bow and arrow. So you just see him doing some hilarious stuff. And so the first act is essentially Henry Cavill and Alan Ritchson on a boat, and then the Nazis kind of board the boat, and we kind of get introduced into them. Then the second act is when Alex Pettyfer, who's Jeffrey Appleyard, gets introduced. So they have to go to a base and kind of infiltrate and take him away. All this time, or save him. And all this time, Eiza Gonzalez and Babs are in the main objective, and they're kind of doing their thing behind the scenes there. And it all culminates in them having to converge in that one place in order to take to finish this one mission, which is essentially to destroy this ship vessel that helps U-boats become produced. And some things go awry, and they have to change their directive, but they end up accomplishing it in a way, in a very beautiful fashion. And this is all this is all in like the black ops of Churchill and the masses within the UK at the time kind of didn't really want that to happen. And Till Schweiger is the main bad guy. He's just like this Nazi who's like, will murder you and punch your face off, just kind of like how we would see in Inglourious Bastards. It was a really fun movie. It was slightly predictable. It was things that we're very familiar with, but I really like Guy Ritchie movies. I think they take you on a ride, and they give you some elements that are very Guy Ritchie. So if you enjoy Guy Ritchie films, I think this is something that you could definitely spend that hour 40 on and really enjoy it.
Right on. Would
Yeah,
you feel
maybe,
like?
watch it.
Oh yeah. I feel like Guy Ritchie is like so over the top. Was this? Do you think in some ways you're like, oh man, that's so over the top? But did it work, or were you like, that's ridiculous?
It it actually kind of worked, like because it was based off of a true story, and they do give you like pictures of these people post. It was over the top to think that it happened, but then the realization that it did happen, and then to see it play out in the way that Guy Ritchie films it and directs it, you're like, oh, and that kind of makes sense. That kind of makes sense.
All right. I like
Oh,
it.
cool,
I
cool.
like it. The cast looks solid. I mean, it's been a movie that's been on my list to check out. So like, I definitely want to watch it. That cast is insane.
Dude, Henry Cavill is a gem, dude. That guy is just good at acting.
Yeah.
He's just good. He really shines here. There's a bunch of range of emotions. Again, Alan Ritchson is just hilarious. And Eiza Gonzalez, I've seen her in some things, but she really does a really great job at bringing this character out. She's strong and powerful, but very a seductress, but very tactical with it. She's not just like some hot girl. She's definitely got purpose and poise behind her. And Babs is actually a really interesting, intriguing character because he's technically part of like this op to bring it down, but then there's so much mystery around what he's done and what he's able to get there. And there's also a super awesome scene where we get introduced to Babs and Eiza Gonzalez in a train, and that's something to look forward to. I'll let you guys kind of get to that on your own.
Sick.
All right. I dig
Okay.
it, man. That's quite a glowing review, actually. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn.
It was pretty good. It's pretty good.
I'm
I
pumped to
like
watch
that.
Real
Yeah,
quick before we
man.
move on.
Oh.
I'm looking at the cast here, right? And you Henry Cavill, first thought, Superman, right? I'm looking at Alan Richardson, and I was like, he'd be a hilariously
thought.
buff Green Arrow. But then I was like, what if
I
I
thought you were
was
gonna say Batman.
no? But then I mean,
Booster
he's
Gold?
just buff. No. But all this guy
Oh.
talk, I was like,
Yeah.
what if he was Guy Gardner?
Oh shit.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Because he's kind of cocky. He's got
He
that like,
is, yeah.
like and
Yeah.
he looks like a modern day superhero. Like that could have been kind of cool. I don't think we'd ever get it now, but
We won't
be
because we
sick.
got
Superman and
Nathan
Guy
Fillion
Gardner?
as Guy Gardner
Yeah.
coming up.
Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. Interesting.
Yeah, he's gonna be in the new Superman Legacy, and he's already
Nathan
like.
Fillion's good though.
I could see him if he
He
cut
is,
his
yeah.
hair or
And
styled his
really,
hair.
as like a redhead, I can't see Nathan. I don't think they're
They
gonna
might-
go that route, but like,
Yeah, they
I
might just make
can't.
him more brownish.
Yeah, I don't know, but maybe that's not the route they're going. But God, Alan Richardson as the Green Arrow.
I
just
dig
seems
a-
so ridiculous.
Alan
Yeah, he's just,
Richardson
like,
as
big as
Captain
Superman.
Adam.
Say that again.
Alan Richardson as Captain Adam.
Captain Adam. Yeah,
Oh yeah, but he was a
yeah, I can
mask.
see
though.
that.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
He's just like all
I mean, he
silver, I
could.
think, with like red
Yeah,
gloves and
yeah,
boots.
yeah,
Yeah.
But he's got the body for it. I
Yeah.
guess that's the only thing I went through.
Apparently, Alan Richardson is really petitioning hard to be Batman in the James Gunn Brave and the Bold universe and everything.
Well, I could
So
see
then,
his
like-
jawline for sure.
Bro, I mean, if you look at Batman in the comics,
freaking
which we
size.
have, bro, like, Batman's massive, right? He's like benching 600 pounds, like squatting an elephant, like just ridiculous stuff, right? And so
Yeah.
I'd be for it, and I think he has like the like acting range to do it all.
Yeah,
To be like,
definitely.
obviously we have Reacher where he's stoic and cool and smart and badass, but like, enough to like where he could be almost fatherly to this little assassin kid. I think
Yeah.
would be pretty cool. So I'm
Yeah.
up for it.
And we already enjoyed seeing him beat up on people, which
Yo,
we love seeing
yeah.
Batman do. So
In
That
in
is
the
true.
in the movie, Alan Richardson for a time has like a Dutch Swedish, or the entire time he has like a Dutch Swedish accent. It's fucking hilarious.
yeah,
Is it
I gotta
funny?
watch it.
It's
Okay,
fucking so
alright.
funny.
I'm
Yeah,
sold. I gotta watch
say
it.
less.
really.
That
So
sounds
funny,
hilarious.
dude.
Yeah, some of my fam went and they kept mentioning the Inglourious Basterds, but they were like, "This movie, you gotta watch it." They kept
It's
saying that. So
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn it. Okay, that is definitely on the list. All right. So for the next one, last question while I pull up the list. Who do you think Henry Cavill is playing at Marvel? Because there has been things. Some people are saying it's somebody in the X-Men, and there's the obvious choice too, like Captain Britain. But if it is somebody in the X-Men, who do you think you'd want to see Henry Cavill play?
I've been hearing a lot of Cyclops.
I've
He
heard
does
that
look
too.
like a Cyclops
He's
type
got that
for
Cyclops X-Men 97 chest going on, or that
Does.
90s X-Men. 90s X-Men Cyclops was buff as fuck. Basically looked like Superman. He could totally be him. It'd
He
just be
could
the
play-
age thing, right? Like we
Yeah.
don't know how old Cyclops is gonna be, but he could totally look the part. I
He
could see
could
him
play
leading.
Beast.
Beast.
That
could.
would be like
I think Kelsey
he could,
Grammer
but-
has got that line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that would be less of a character to like. It'd be kind of a waste for Henry
For
Cavill.
sure.
Right?
for
Yeah,
sure.
just get Henry, come in. All right, we're gonna put a bunch of dots on you, and then you're not gonna act with anybody else.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
just
gonna be the Blob. Is that cool, Henry?
That'd be hilarious. He's
yeah.
Bishop.
Yeah, he's Mystique.
He looks
Yeah, like, hey,
he looks
Henry,
like that bastard.
Henry, we're just gonna have you transform into every other actor.
Yeah.
Like, do some stuff.
Fucking
But his
hilarious.
face stays the same.
Yeah. So funny, dude. Oh,
What-
Archangel. Oh.
Dude,
Henry
that-
Cavill with wings.
That wouldn't make any
He's like
sense.
he's basically Superman. He's like finally Superman.
Yeah. I have
can't
seen
lift
some
everything.
fan casts for him as Magneto.
I would believe him as a Magnetos.
Yeah.
There has been some cool pictures out there with him with the long white hair and everything. You're like, that looks pretty sick.
You gotta be
So,
someone powerful and or leading. I feel like.
yeah,
Got it. Front man
Right.
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I like it. Cyclops. I'm on board with Cyclops. I'm petitioning for Glenn Powell, but that's just me. I'm
Oh
Glenn.
yeah.
Yeah. Glennis Scott, let's go. All right, so we got X-Men 97, episode 6. It was Life, Death, Part 2. And this was kind of a mashup episode. There was two different love stories going on with two lovebirds. We get the reintroduction to Charles Xavier. Meanwhile, we get to see Part 2 with Storm and Forge. And Storm kind of reclaiming her power. Yeah, I don't know. What are your guys' general thoughts on this episode? Scott, go first.
Yeah, I think overall it was a good episode, but this one felt the most like the old school cartoons. Like they really crammed a lot of information into a small amount of time. Some scenes definitely felt like they were sped up or like covering more ground. Like I'd like to see them fleshed out a little more. I was giving an example earlier. It kind of felt like you watching like a previously on X-Men. The whole episode was like that. Like it was just like, especially the Charles Xavier part. When it got to like Storm and Forge, that felt more like it's being a little fleshed out. But when it got to like Professor X, there were so many new characters being introduced and like this love story. Like I just found out he's in love, and all of a sudden by the end he's like, "I'm sorry, love's gotta wait. I gotta go." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like I don't even know how in love you really were. I don't believe it. Like it was
Right.
hard. It was so hard to like get all that. Um, did you feel that at all? Like, did
Yeah,
it
yeah,
feel
yeah.
fast? Yeah.
This felt like, truthfully, the whole season has felt fast in a lot of ways
Mhm.
because I've been reading along the comics while I've been watching them, and the comics, like some of these stories can span like 20 books, 10 books, even 5. So like some of these, I'm like, this is not enough time for them to tell this story.
Yeah.
So it's all felt really fast, but I think most of it has been adapted really freaking well. This was the one episode where I was like, you're right. Like the Professor X stuff was like, wait, what? Where are we? We're in space, and then there's like Kree and Skrulls, and then the Shi'ar. Then okay, yeah, you love me, you're gonna be my husband. Then all right, I gotta go back to Earth. So it felt way too sped up. For me in this episode, but
Mhm.
yeah, I really, really like the Storm and Forge stuff. Drake?
Right now we're doing our garden in the back, and Alondra's like super deep into buying plants, and I was like, how could I get Alondra into like potentially watching X-Men? And there's this whole fucking thing where they're just trying to find a cactus in a cave, and I was like, is this my entry
Is
point
this
for
my
Alondra?
sign?
Is this my sign that Alondra will like X-Men because of the
Yeah.
cactus cave? I really enjoyed
work?
it did not work, but
Oh man, you were gonna leave
That's
us
not
on that
real.
hook?
yeah, I was
Like,
I was about to
you'll
leave you
leave
there. Oh, so she
And-
watches it now? No, definitely not.
Yeah, find out
I
next week.
liked I like to see the Shi'ar. I like to see the Kree. The Shi'ar definitely gives me like that old school X-Men vibe. So I really enjoyed watching them. And then obviously, towards the end, Mr. Sinister, we find out just the worst dude, the worst dude. I love it.
Yeah, let's touch back on it, sister,
Yeah,
because I have some thoughts there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was cool. Okay, we're finally back in space, and which is weird, in some ways, but the X-Men have gone to space or have so many space, origin villains. It is kind of interesting, but
Astronauts.
yeah, the Shi'ar basically, they. Yeah, they did take over some astronauts before, I guess. But the Shi'ar are, arguably the most powerful space alien race out there. And, through the MCU, we've gotten the Kree, we've gotten the Skrulls, and they've kind of been like here or there. They've kind of been all right. And sometimes they seem like really badass villains, sometimes they don't. But in this one, the Kree kind of just gets their ass kicked from the jump.
I'll say.
Right. We get to see like Lilandra and the Imperial Guard with Gladiator and with Vulcans in there, and like the Imperial Guard is like the best of the best of the Shi'ar empires. That's their fighting team. And they come in there and just wreck everybody. And they wreck Ronan too.
Yeah, what that was cool. Like those bombs that flew in at first and just kind of like went off like little galaxies. And then what's
There
her
was
name?
one where like
Lilandra or something?
they threw like a magnet in the middle of them, and it like sucked in all the ships, and they collided and exploded.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, that was sick. I was like,
Yeah.
what is this? Like, yeah, it felt like black hole bombs or some shit. Like,
Black hole
and then
bombs.
she's like, I want to fly through the windshield on
Bombs,
this one ship.
Won't you come?
It's like a
Walk
butt
Yeah,
bomb.
black
with
hole
me? Yeah.
But yeah, and then she just flies through the windshield, and I was like, do they not get sucked into space? I don't know.
No,
So she does.
the barrier went up.
Oh yeah, he was like, they brought down that thing.
yeah.
That's right. But yeah, she just flies in and just beats everyone ass like personally, which is I
Right,
thought was
right.
great. Like she didn't want to throw a bomb on this one. She's like, I want to be there, and
Yeah.
like just they couldn't do anything about it. Yeah, I was like, who is this team? Like this team is like badass.
Yeah, they are OP, and they normally, I mean, they can. Gladiator by himself can pretty much take on the X-Men most of the time in the comics. Even like he's Superman to the space Marvel. Like I guess to some people Sentry, but in some ways like Gladiator's powers are more like Superman, I think, than the Sentries. But anyway,
Yeah, they showed like 3 of them back to back, right? Like he did the super speed to run in front of the blades, and then he used his breath And then he
Yep.
did his laser vision. I'm like,
Yeah.
Superman. Like,
Superman with a mohawk. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
cooler looking Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you heard
Actually,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but she goes in there. We see Ronin. That this to me also felt like the most MCU esque episode, where we got the Kree, we got yeah, like the way Ronin was in there with his, oh dang it, I just lost what his weapon was called, that
look
giant
at-
hammer that he has, but
Mjolnir.
that's Thor. Yeah, Ace Hardware. But, but no,
Home Depot.
Is this right? There's no way. It's called the universal weapon.
Oh.
Like,
That's too plain.
yeah, there's another name for it, which again I'm like blanking on it, but she still whoops his ass, and then later on in the episode we get Forge after Storm was getting taken by the adversary. He comes in with the book and like the glowing magic that looked like it was Doctor Strange, and he had the whip, and I'm like, wait, what? That's just straight Doctor Strange's power.
Yeah.
Or like the way his energy looked from the movies. So to me, this was like, oh, this is clearly like an MCU nod. And I don't know, I just felt like I got that a lot in this episode.
For
Did
sure.
You guys get the same thing?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and especially because like the Ronin aspect, I think it was going so grand. I'm like, oh, this is like just especially we got that X-Men, the Deadpool trailer. Like it all felt like, oh, this would be like the part where they all start kind of connecting. Like, is this the Ronin from the movies, or like is whatever? It's just
Yeah. I mean,
You know.
no, I think that's a great point, because even today in the Deadpool trailer with Cassandra Nova,
Mhm.
and it's like we just saw what happened at Genosha
at
last
Genosha,
episode.
right?
Yeah, and in the comics, she's the one responsible for the Genosha attack. I'm like, not to steal this term, but it's like, it's all connected. Like, it
Yeah,
really
yeah.
felt like it was all connected in this one.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was good. How did you guys feel about Professor X being brought back in this episode, and how he was brought back?
The first I have
You know,
thoughts.
I feel like you
No,
guys
I think
know-
yeah, go for it.
Okay, so it was a lot to take in, like the fact that he's back. Because then first they're like, oh, he's dead, and I was trying to remember, like, should I have known how he died, whatever. But now he's just like, oh, he's in love, he's here. What was weird is like, okay, she's what's her name, Shiari, or what's her name? The one he's married.
Lilandra.
Ilandra,
Lilandra.
Laland, two L's, double L.
La 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 la.
Lilandra?
Yeah.
Lalandra. Lalandra.
La, la, la,
So
la.
he's marrying her. She's also a powerful psychic. It was weird at one point. He goes, "Oh yeah, I should use my most special gift of all." And then like he did that thing where and they're like, what is going on here? And then like they're in school or something. Like,
Yeah.
It was just interesting.
That he forgot how to use his powers.
He forgot his powers, and then also he's like maybe one of the most powerful psychics, it seems, because like they're like, well, I don't even know what this could even be. I've never seen this before. Like, minds
what
could
is
do
a
this?
Classroom.
Like, what the fuck? What is even a table that I'm gonna flip and end up back in? Like, it was weird. That whole scene was like weird, because then I'm battling that. Like, how do you forget you can do that? And then also like, what the were you, dude? You're so worried about your X-Men, but like, also that the whole thing, like, you got to give up everyone. I'm like, part of what makes Xavier him is because of his history. So like, if he
Right.
were to just forget everything, then would he even be the same person you want on the throne with you? Like, right? It's like,
Right.
But,
Yeah,
um,
good point. Yeah, I
but
think
it was just a lot to
it was
take in, I
smart.
think.
Totally. Yeah. What do you think, Drake?
I mean, I think it's fine in terms of like fanship and fanfare, but like I just think it sets like a weird precedent, like to just bring back characters all willy-nilly. I know that we do that, and there's separate
But equal.
separate but equal dimensions and universes where they can come in and out from. But I just thought, as it was playing out, I don't know that it added too much to the story other than to kind of help bring in the Shi'ar, because doesn't the marriage get annulled after the Cassandra Nova incident?
I don't know about that, but like, I mean, they were a big part of the X-Men the animated series this year, so it's like they had to show us what's going on with them at
I
some point.
guess.
I think I think the thing for me that wasn't awesome about it was it felt very anticlimactic seeing Charles Xavier in this way.
Sports Center.
Yeah, Sports Center. Thanks. But yeah, it just was like, okay, because he wasn't even the main draw in the beginning of the episode. Originally, it's like this epic battle. Then all of a sudden, it's like, this message comes out, and you think it's Lilandra talking to her sister Deathbird, but it's like, no, it's just kind of going out to the whole Shi'ar galaxy. And she's like, we've been fostering this mutant or this, individual, this Terran individual for over a year. And instantly, I was like, okay, I know that's Professor X. Maybe I was the only one, but like, and then he comes out and he's in the suit, and I'm like, yeah, that's him. So it just felt like and the whole season they've been playing it up like Professor X has been dead. He's been dead, and then you see him in this way. He's like very much not dead, and then you see that he's just been chilling with this lady out in space. Just and then for him to be like, my X-Men, I've failed you now. It's like, wait, what? What about the last 365 days you've been chilling? Did you not?
Yeah.
Like, feel like you should get back there sooner then? Like, why now?
Yeah. That's why, yeah, I was like, you just, because you remember to use your powers and now you can tap into everything at all at once. Like, he just decided, like, at that moment when he was on the astral plane, I guess that's when he was like, oh, I should just check in my X-Men too. Oh, they're all dead. Oh, and then he like falls to the ground. He can't handle it. Like, it was just felt really weird. Like, I don't know. It just, it felt out of place. And then, then by the end of it, he's like, I gotta go back. And you're like, I guess it all happened so quick. I was like, okay, I guess we got Xavier back. Like, that was just like my. I was like, oh, I guess he's back.
How's he gonna do it? But yeah. I will say this though. I liked the parallels between the two different Lovebirds stories. Like, I get what they were trying to do, right? We have Storm and Forge, and one is clearly like a person out of place. Storm doesn't come from here. She doesn't have her powers. Same thing with Xavier, so to speak. Like, he has his mutant powers, but he doesn't have any power over these people or the way they think or anything, right? He's just like out of place, and they're kind of using their relationships in a way that they're falling in love, which is nice character development, but they're also like using it to figure out what they truly want as people. And I was like, okay, that's a cool story. So there was elements of that, but it did all of a sudden feel like we were a million miles away from everything that we had been following. I mean, we literally were, but like from a story perspective, it felt like that too, from being at Genosha with this like deep, emotional loss to boom, we're in space and like this shit's happening, and like he's got to try to figure out how to win over the Shi'ar Empire, and there were just a lot of crazy references and stuff in there. I did really like the classroom scene though. And I have heard other people say this, which is, it's not that he forgot how to use his like psychic abilities. It was more that he forgot that his greatest tool is that he's a teacher. And I was like, oh, okay, like I buy it. Yeah, a little cheesy, but like I'll buy it. Like, cool. I did like that scene because I think it hits on a lot of kind of deeper themes and why Charles is so important to the X-Men, which I do like. Like, the X-Men feel complete when Charles is there to me. And the fact that not only does it seem like they need him, but also like he needs them, and he also, there's that part too in this episode where like Lilandra and him are going back and forth, and she's like, the job of a teacher is so you can make your students be able to walk on their own, which I was also like, kind of fucked up, but I get the metaphor. That's not cool that you said that.
I still can't walk.
Exactly.
Got legs?
Exactly. So I understood what she was trying to say, but I was also like, cheap shot, lady. But yes, but also like, and then I think his rebuttal is only when he thinks that there's no other lessons he needs to teach. I kind of botched that, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah, there was that kind of that line, and yeah, so I don't know, this whole idea of like a teacher and a mentor, and like what does it mean for your students to need you, but also like you need your students too. I thought there was like some really interesting concepts they were kind of playing there, and I think it really all came to head in that classroom scene.
Yeah, I think the thing I maybe wish I got more of was um how Professor X really felt about why he needed to be there versus back on Earth. Like, because we're introduced to him just being alive. You're like, okay, he's alive, and then he's like, I'm so in love. You're like, okay, I guess he's in love, and then he's he's also treated like shit. Like everyone's like, I guess like how mutants are treated. Maybe that was like the parallel. Like
Right.
anywhere he goes, he's a mutant.
But
But
didn't
it's
think
like, why are you there? And then they're like, they said it one
yeah.
time. They're like, think of all the good we can do for the universe versus one planet. And you're like, okay, but tell us about that because I don't know what the your guys' plan is. Otherwise, I'm like, why are you putting yourself in this freaking
Right.
predicament?
No,
Like,
no,
what are
I
you
think
doing?
I think he does it. But what was I gonna say? Wasn't it weird the space racism?
Yeah,
They're like, I don't
Spacism.
want to spacism. I don't
yeah.
want to mix with your freak fluids. I was like,
Yeah.
wow. And there was
And
always
then they
Ooh.
were like, and he's not even a Terran. He's less than. He's a mutant. And I'm like, oh wow, really? Like,
if anything that's better, he's
yeah,
evolved.
it's funny how
That's what I
they're
thought.
like, it's like they looked up like racism on Earth and like, how do we really get him? Yeah, I'm a mutant. Like they really
How
know
do
or
they do
care.
it back on Earth?
Oh, that's how they did
That,
it. Because I'm watching Shogun at the same time. It's funny. I'm like, whether you're in old Japan or like in this like super supposed to be like ahead
sophisticated
society in
space
space, they're
society.
still like stupid. Like, well, if you're gonna rule, then you must forget all your friends and family. Blah blah blah. And then they're like, she can't do this. And it's like,
They're British.
I enact this rule that no one's ever used. Like, oh, the rule, and then they gotta do it. And I'm like, what the are we
The
doing? It's the
rule.
same thing. There's always these
The
set of rules.
rule.
Like,
Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
god, I
Oh my
can't believe she
God.
did that. And
He
I'm like,
kind
it's
of
the
turned
same
it.
thing everywhere you go. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it kind of turned into like a Star Trek episode where they were start throwing out these
Yeah.
concepts and stuff. You're right. Yeah, you're right. And I think he does touch on it when he first does a classroom. It was this whole idea of like, you think you're saving the universe by like conquering them, but like what you're really doing is like you're taking away people's cultures, you're taking away the diversity
Right.
of things, and the diversity is actually where the good stuff is. And and I think
That's
that point
okay.
is
That's true. He
yeah.
did say that. Yeah, he's like, you're chopping him at the knees, and then you're saying like, here, I'm helping you be better, but really
Mhm.
you're ruling them. So I guess that's his end. He's like, I gotta stop these guys on a bigger level. Like
Yeah.
he's on that next level of saving
With
thing.
his freak fluid.
With his review. Yeah. Another one that was funny was the
Pretty cool.
you're like something space ghetto. I was
Oh
like
yeah, the
Space
Milky
ghetto?
Way ghetto.
Milky Way ghetto. I was
What?
like, damn,
Yeah.
that was
Like they're
savage.
trying to move the council to his Milky Way ghetto. I'm like, you guys use that word here? Like what?
It was hilarious. That should crack me up. But I really liked the themes of it all. Like I thought that last speech was really really good. Like one thing that kind of stuck out to me, I was like, oh, I like that sentiment, which was like you keep thinking you're better by trying to bring other people down rather than like trying to bring like everybody up. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like I don't know. I just like that stuff always kind of gets me at like an emotional level. I'm like, oh, that's everybody's welcome. Like, I don't know. I
Yeah,
like that shit. So
for sure.
yeah. So that was good. It ends with him after all of a sudden, oh, I've connected with Earth. He sees Gambit pop up, which is very random, but also makes me think that Gambit actually is dead because we see Gambit's skeleton, and then the whole classroom turns into skeletons, and he's like, I can't do it. My brain energy is too much. And then falls to the ground, and this is where he's
Yeah.
like, I gotta call off our wedding. I'm going back to Earth. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, do you guys think Gambit's dead? Who else from the Genosha attack is also dead?
Well, I think Gambit is because we see Gambit. And I'm assuming all the other people in the classroom are all the other people that were looking to the screen and dying for the last
Yeah.
episode. Um, so I could see them killing off Gambit because that is like killing off a big character in the beginning is a good way to keep a show like, what the, can you believe this? Tune in. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The Ned Stark effect.
Yeah. But I mean, fuck. I don't know. Maybe you think Magneto's dead?
I don't think he is. I think Magneto survived.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that bitch.
He
He just used them as a shield. Like, come here, children.
he
And
probably
went
survived in
underground.
all the freak fluid.
Probably. Freak fluid.
Freak
Casey.
fluid all over my face. Yeah, I die. I mean, they're like characters you're gonna I mean, they're like the main character. I just, yeah, I don't think that they're dead in some way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. Can't
Yeah.
be.
The only I know a lot of people are theorizing it because in the title sequence we got Nightcrawler, no Gambit, but we also didn't get Magneto. So some people are like, "Oh, he's not here." So I don't know. That yeah, that side of it was okay. Let's get to the life death part because I think this side of the story worked better for me. Again, it was a lot more grounded. It seemed to make more sense. Like, okay, there's this herb. It tied into Forge's other history, which is this magical side that he got from his mom, and it's kind of tied to like Native American spirituality and all that. But again, the powers look like Doctor Strange, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe this is all the energy in the MCU looks like this, which I thought was pretty cool. But also, like, now Storm fights the adversary. She has to fight against her own self-doubt. She has to fight against her like fear of claustrophobia, where, you know, not only is it a real fear of hers, but also like there might have been a fear of her own power. I guess that's part of it too. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on the whole Storm Forge side of this story?
There you go. Oh.
Yeah, go for it.
It was yeah, I mean it was good up until I didn't know exactly it was getting kind of confusing for me with like the demon. For a bit I was like, is this an actual demon or is it like something that just she's seeing? Because like the more she like believes in herself, the more the demon was like kind of going away. Like because at one point it was trapped and then all of a sudden the demon's in there when she's the most afraid. So I'm like, is she kind of spawning this thing? And then I was like, is this whole thing happening in her mind? Like what's real right now?
Yeah.
There was all that, and then I didn't know how she. So I guess the thing dampened her power, and then she just kind of believed it took it away, so she let it take it away. Is that what the idea was?
Yeah, I think so. Like
Like a
that, the
half placebo?
power. Yeah, like it did take away her powers, but it didn't fully take her powers away like she thought it did. There was
Hmm.
also this part of her that had, you know, there was this self belief that wasn't there anymore, and because it wasn't there, and that she had given into her, like, I should just be human. I can't really do it. I can't, I can't control my emotions or
Kind of like
whatever.
when like Spider-Man loses mojo and he can't make webs and shit.
Yeah, that's like a classic thing. Like,
You got the yips.
yeah, right. Like
We can't say
every
that.
hero.
Oh
No, why
shit!
not?
Shit.
The yips.
Well,
And
it's
it's
not a
real.
competition, right?
Yeah, it's
I thought
not.
you can only not say in competition.
Oh,
That's true. Yeah,
I don't know how
guess.
this works.
right. But I think a lot of superhero things in like the third movie or whatever. I forgot how many movies did this, but like, yeah, somebody loses their powers and then they have to figure out how to get it back. So that was
Yeah.
very much this story as well. Yeah, Drake, what were your thoughts on how this whole thing played out?
I to mimic Scott's point, it was just yeah, it was definitely like hard to follow. So that kind of just took me out a bit. So I mean, it was great to kind of see the relationship and those two characters kind of flesh out their relationship. But other than that, it took me out of it just because it was confusing, and that's probably on me. But as a
I don't think
viewer
so.
who, oh okay,
No, no, no. I don't think it's on you. I think this was this was kind of a confusing episode in a way. Like it wasn't like it all makes sense at the end. You figure out like you're like, okay, we started here, we get here, like, okay, cool. I don't really know how that happened, but like the main beats are there. Like you took some magic, like you're my love, I love you, and through me trying to help you figure out this thing, like I fight, my inner demons, and because I can conquer my inner demons, now I get my power back. And it's like, all right,
Mhm.
if you just take those beats, it's
sure,
there.
yeah.
But like, it is kind of a weird path. It's not as clear as you would think it is. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, a lot of people are saying. I mean, a lot of people loved, and I mean loved her getting her powers back. And like I guess there was a lot of influence from talk about Henry Cavill, that first flight scene from Man of Steel. They modeled a lot of Storm getting her powers back from that scene, from her like shooting up into the clouds, and you see that there's a satellite, and then she dips down and she's like flying near the surface with the horses, and like all that stuff. It's like, yeah,
They're like, what the? what is going on? They're running
Horses,
around live.
yeah.
And she's like, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
That's the other
I-
thing that was a little weird. I didn't know what was dreamlike and what wasn't when she like, I got my powers, and then like she just starts, and her suit just starts appearing, and I'm like, does she
Right.
make her own suit all the time, or is this Power Ranger sequence going on?
Yeah.
Is this a dream thing where she's like, I'm not really wearing it, but this is what I envision I'm wearing right now?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, what's happening right now?
I loved
Like,
all that scene, but
really.
I think that was the only part in this whole episode where I was like, wait, what? She could just spawn her suit? But I'm not going to argue. The internet will destroy me for... It's like me saying, this may not be for kids. So I'm just... yeah, I think that was the
Still,
only
it's
thing
like-
where I was like, that was kind of weird.
Yeah, no, because it's like I get it. We're talking about a thing that's like not real and it's drawn and whatnot, but still, like you set a certain reality and then like certain things break it, but within the rules you make. Something like that though, like you didn't really explain it, so it's like at least tell me she can make her own suit like Power Rangers or Sailor Moon kind of, or it's dreams. Like, yeah, it looked
Sailor
cool,
Moon.
but like I'm like, how did she even do that? I don't understand what's
Right.
With
Did you do
lightning.
that? Like,
Either. Yeah.
Lightning
It
in,
looked cool,
in
but-
Africa.
yeah, she was like, "Ugh," or just like came out of her pores. I don't know. It's
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't think that Storm is an Omega level mutant. I'm gonna say that right here.
Whoa. Okay,
that'll get you
explain.
killed in the streets, bro.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I just
They
so
want you
if
back,
if you
boy.
take her outside of the atmosphere, what is
She'll
she?
bring the air with her.
I guess. I mean, I just like I can
don't
see
know.
Magneto, I can see Iceman, I can see Xavier, but like just having control of the elements to the extent that she does, I don't view that as like Omega level.
I mean, definitely on Earth.
On
You're
Earth for
right.
sure. On
You're
Earth for
right.
sure. But like Omega across the board, I doubt it. I don't think so.
Maybe. What if you took her to another planet with a spacesuit and she's like, I can feel something different. Just like on Mars, just creating storms.
She does go on Mars in like the new X-Men run
There you go.
lately. Yeah.
She's
And
like
she
making
does things
water.
there?
We can live
Yeah.
here now.
So
I
if you go back to the 2021 Hellfire Gala, like they want to make it a big show and like there's this party whatever and like to show the strength of their nation, they basically colonize Mars, but not in like they would like what would Magneto says what would take you guys, he's talking to these humans, what would take you centuries we can do in mere hours, and then like they find this like ore, like giant piece of ore from space and like a bunch of other elements, and then she comes in there and just like blast it full of they bring like hydrogen from somewhere and she just like turns it into water and like now they terraform Mars.
I mean,
Okay,
if
so
she
in
has the
that
ability
sense,
to
that's kinda-
terraform, yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's like Omega, probably.
Yeah.
Pretty
But-
sick. So
Yeah.
dummies. But yeah, no,
We'll agree to disagree. All right. Yeah.
yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I don't not like I respect Storm. There's a lot I love about Storm as a character. I think she's. I don't even know if this is controversial to say, but I think she might be one of like the best female black characters of all time.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
but,
Storm's sick.
just-
Like,
she's a sick, just female.
awesome.
She's an
character,
Omega
yeah.
level character. Yes.
Yeah, but like for sure. But like I'm not necessarily like drawn to her character. I'm not like, oh my god, I love Storm and like she's one of my favorite X-Men. But I know she is for a lot of people, and I think without her, like the X-Men aren't what the X-Men are. Like I feel like she plays such a pivotal role in making sure the X-Men are the X-Men. Like it has felt a little weird, I would say, this season not having her with the rest of the team. But I think the story they're doing with her in Life Death is, for a lot of people, arguably one of her best stories ever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Ooh, and her full hair grew out, right?
Oh yeah.
And that,
Gotta say,
Then she got a
more
full
hair.
hair. Yeah. She's one of the best characters of all time. Plus, her hair came back. So
She got
that's
hair,
pretty
dude.
sick.
That's pretty
That's
cool.
a
dude.
credential, man.
That's Omega right there, dude.
Yeah.
Bottle that.
Yeah, she's basically like
Billionaire.
a walking keeps ass.
Yeah. Oh snap.
But yeah, I mean, overall, Storm is cool. That was just the one thing I didn't understand. Like, I do like Storm, and she's really powerful and all that. But I didn't know the hair just growing out and then her building her suit. I'm like, what's real and what isn't right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
just the only thing really.
It is,
But
yeah.
it was cool.
Because even in Life Death Part 2, it seemed like what's a fantasy where she like is with she rides off a cliff then falls through the roof. You're like, wait, she was dreaming? Was she actually flying? Like, there was no explanation for it. I guess we have to assume that she always kind of had her powers. She just didn't realize it, and then ran out of the house and then fell back on the roof or something.
Right. I thought what was gonna happen was like at the end of the episode is gonna turn into like maybe still tying into Forge and that sort of medicine or something. Like she starts waking up and she was like doing some sort of like hallucinogen type of medicine to like just fight those inner demons, and then she like so that was all like in her head in that sense. But
Right.
and then I was
'Cause
like, oh, I guess it's all real because they did get the cactus and they healed him. So I guess he did get bit. I thought maybe that was all like in her
just
dream or something.
yeah, because you're right. Because in the Life Death Part 2 in the comics, that is kind of what happened. She like she's like starving. She's like doesn't have her powers, and she's like wandering through Africa, and like I think she gets bit by a snake or like has to fight a snake, and so she does start hallucinating, and
Mm.
like it is a lot in her head. So I guess you just have to assume that, or like take the source material and then kind of like use that logic with this episode. But again, if you've never read the books, like that, they don't really explain that in the show. So
Yeah.
I think it's fair what
Okay.
you guys are saying for sure.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Overall,
So
still digging it. Still
yeah,
digging it.
definitely. I'm super on board, and now we know we're getting
Yeah.
Storm back to the team. We're getting Professor X back to the team. Like all of that's sick. Like and they're gonna need them considering who's still left in Genosha, what the rest of the mutant world is dealing with at this point. So, yeah, and I've heard that episode 8 is the craziest. I know we're going to 7, but once we get through 7, episode 8 is like the craziest episode out of all of them. That's what the the showrunner Bo DeMaio said. So I'm super on board still. Yeah, I just wish that they gave a little bit more room to breathe in the life death portion. But we could have maybe just got a whole episode of space. But still great with what we got. I think again, Professor X's speech was like top notch, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. I can't wait for this week's episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
So that brings us into the penultimate episode of Shogun, episode 9. Is that right? I'm kind of
question
Yep.
mark?
Crimson
Yeah.
Sky.
Nine?
Crimson
Nine?
Sky.
Crimson Sky. Go
9?
for it, Drake.
This was kind of like the episode where everything kind of fell into place. It literally is a penultimate episode that sets up the finale in the sense of how much drama it brings through. I think the whole intent of this episode was to show what Mariko's purpose was, and kind of giving you what that eightfold fence really truly meant in this situation. Because throughout the episode, we're guided back to her sense of purpose within the whole Toranaga plan. And there is a moment in time where essentially she comes to terms with the fact that she's still alive, and what her father kept her alive for and helped her keep her alive is for this exact moment. And essentially what Mariko does is she tries to go against I forget the main bad guy's name.
Ishido?
Ishido. Yeah, I was gonna say Iago for some reason, who is also kind of a bad guy.
Yeah. It's now
Iago,
gone
rare.
to Aladdin.
Aladdin.
And
but,
she has to fight Jafar. And then,
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be hard, dude, because he can turn into a large snake. But Ishido essentially is holding everybody captive in Osaka, and Mariko is out to prove that Ishido can't. That if that is the case, then everybody's going to rally against Ishido and that whole governmental system. And she does do that effectively. We get some of the most badass fight scenes that we've seen. We get to see Mariko actually fight in this episode as well. We get some almost moments, which Scott will probably get into, and then we get the final moment where we're like, "What the fuck?" and then it just ends pretty much. But Scott, fill in all those blanks as I've left the listeners salivating over what happened in the episode.
Yeah, so I'm finally caught up. I watched all the episodes since last we spoke.
That's a lot, dude.
I know that's a lot.
If you're like, I don't know, guys, I'm on episode 2, and then you're like, yeah, so
Yeah.
episode
I'm done.
9 is...
I went back. Yeah, I went back and I was at the beginning, basically like before the credits of episode 2, so I didn't even start it really. I was like, all right, here we go. But as soon as 3 hit, I'm
Nicely
like,
done.
whoa, things are a moving, like with the ship part, and like,
Mhm.
yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, it was like felt more and more like Game of Thrones. Like there was like, I know, so there's like people have been like people I know personally that have been like it's like kind of like Game of Thrones, but like a little more talking and a little more whatever. And I think it's like maybe that's just like the way it is. But I have no problem with it. I think it's like awesome storytelling. Um, all of the micro expression acting that like Mariko, the actress Anna does, is like great. Like so good.
Dude.
She's fucking kills it.
So good.
Um,
Yeah. So
And-
to speak on that Game of Thrones thing, though, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, if you're looking for dragons and battles and all that stuff, like you're not
Sure.
gonna. You're one. This is like season 1, so if you compare this season to season 1 of Game of Thrones, they're very similar. But like there is a lot of dialogue there too, and
Yeah.
also like you're trying to figure out the characters, you're trying to figure out the world. I think where it's similar is like the quality. Like the quality of
Yeah.
shots, the quality of like, because a lot of that set is CGI, so I don't think people like.
It's
I can't
crazy.
even tell. That shit
Yeah.
looks real sometimes,
Yeah,
right? With
looks
the
so
yeah,
good.
it
the big
does. It looks
buildings.
stunning.
Yeah, and
it
like,
looks like
the
they built a
cost-
whole freaking town everywhere they go, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's nuts. And I
They
think
built
the
like
other
6 sets in Canada, and then that was it.
oh
So
really
everything else you see, like all the extra building stuff, all
Yeah.
of that's CGI. And like all the extra men, they'll have like 100 people on set, and then like when you see like thousands of dude, all of that is CGI too. So
Crazy.
I think it's just from like, yeah, I hear that comparison a lot, but it's not in the fact of like the magicalness or whatever. It's like the seriousness of the drama, the seriousness of the characters, the quality. I think is the Game of Thrones comparison.
also there's some turns where you're like you think I mean it's heavy and it's going a certain way and you're like okay I know it's how it's gonna end and then you're like whoa like one big thing in particular was when I know we talked about this last time but only now I'm like it's funny because last time I was talking I'm so bad with associating names with faces so I'm like hearing you guys talk about but I'm like I don't know what's happening who did what and then as I'm watching I'm like oh is that thing they were talking about oh shit so
Yeah.
man when Toranaga's son slips on the rock at the end and
yep,
fucking
yep,
cracks his
yep,
head I'm
yep.
like whoa like this is
Yeah.
that felt very Game of Thrones like you think something's gonna happen and then like main character dies you're like oh, whoa holy this is heavy
Yeah.
so yeah that is great so coming into this too like I know it feels like there's a lot of dialogue but there's like tension throughout the whole episode and like as Drake was saying the whole plan oh yeah going back especially after his best friend you talked about last week but now I just witnessed it best friend stabbed himself and he does the seppuku and then he's like yeah it was all part of the plan but it was still his best friend that's why it was like he was still crying and they're both crying but it's like it was part of the plan I'm like this is insane so then her
Yeah.
part of the plan is like to go in there he knows what everyone's gonna do so he knows for a fact like it's against the rules for them to not let you leave if you have to kill yourself though are you willing to do it and she's like I am because I mean as we know up to this point she's like been praying for death every day right so
Yeah.
no biggie I mean like there's some hesitation at the end I guess right when she's gonna do it but
Let
yeah
me
that whole
ask you
lead up
this.
to that oh is that
Yeah, does it make like since you binged it, does it seem like that makes a ton of sense by episode 9 from like where you started it again kind of in episode 2? Does it seem like she's like the whole time's been wanting to die?
yeah
Okay.
because I mean there's moments where like it definitely seems like she's appreciating situation she's in like you wouldn't think that but there's enough scenes where they're talking to her and she's just like really unhappy she's living with this dude who's a fucking douchebag beats
Buntaro.
her yeah Buntaro
Yeah.
and then he's like I'll make tea for you love me oh why don't you love me it's like because you beat me you fuck like Jesus but and he's like I know how to kill what else do you want I don't understand I'm the best but that's another crazy thing about the show I know I'll get back to this episode in particular but they show the importance of Mariko throughout and like her status and how like there's certain levels of which like you do not disrespect her, right? Like depending where you are in the system, whatever, or even like higher ups, like don't disrespect her in certain regards. But then you hear about after she got beaten, um, she goes to Toranaga and he's like, I don't care what a husband does to his wife. I just care that he's beating my translator. So we can't have that. And that's like a reminder of like, oh yeah, women are less than in this society. Like as like as much as you think Japan's got their shit together in so many ways, you're like, yeah, the way they treat women is just like so
Not the
opposite.
best.
Yeah, you're like, this is crazy. But going back to Mariko crush it. So she's like leaving. She's trying to leave, and that whole suspense of like the guards like being in their way. They're like,
Oh,
she
so
tells the
good.
first guard like, well, kill him, and that guy's like, good, 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 just kills those first two dudes, and then he gets shot with an arrow, like those fucking bitches with arrows, dude.
I
And
know.
they shoot him. I was so angry. I'm like, oh, you're just gonna shoot these guys, these badass dudes. Most of them die by arrows on the wall, but it was like the slow, like just stop and go back, and all their men are dying. That was cool when they were all fighting around her and she just stood there.
Yeah, dude. Talk about the last guy too. The last guy who died.
Oh yeah, he was like, he bows. He's like, it was an honor to serve you. Bows, and then just gets stabbed through the heart, through his back, like, and
Bruh.
falls over. And then she picks up a stick, and
A
then
stick.
yeah, stick. Sorry, she gets an actual weapon. My bad. She's badass. She gets one of them weapons with the blades on the end, just like the other dudes, and she's just like starting to use her moves and stuff. But it's that scene I felt like was kind of interesting because I'm like, nothing's really happening because they can't attack her and she's not moving forward, so she's just kind of like she's just kind of whacking the sticks. I didn't know what was the end game for her
So
there until she got
perfect.
tired. She just fell down and was like, ugh. And I'm like, they didn't even hit you. What?
Yo, 10 out of 10.
It's exhausting, dog.
Yeah, you did that. Like, what's going on? Yeah, it is exhausting. And then yeah, they're like, they bring her back in. Oh, she's like, well, if I can't leave, I'm gonna kill myself by sunset. It's never now. Yeah, they're like, by tomorrow. Give me some time. And which I still love. But so they're gonna do that, and she appoints this one dude to like second, which is cool. I didn't really know they did that until this show. Really, you had a second that would like, chop off your head so you didn't suffer. I thought the whole thing was just you gut yourself and then you just bleed out and die. And I'm like, that's a horrible way to die.
Right.
But getting your head cut off I didn't know it was that quick. So it makes a little more sense.
I thought the same thing. Like I forgot. Maybe it was because of like the Last Samurai or something. But I thought like maybe even when I was younger, I read like seppuku, like you just cut your stomach open. There was never like they don't just leave you doing that, just like holding your guts. Like somebody, maybe it is only for respectful people or whatever. But like if you're respected, they at least put you out of your misery.
Which is pretty cool in that regard. If you're gonna do that, you know.
Pretty sick. If you
points in
ask
time,
me, that's pretty awesome. You know.
And if your son could do it, like Buntaro, pretty awesome.
Buntaro. There are some people who do seppuku and they go across and up and you're not supposed to make noise. You're not supposed to show fear and or pain. And then on top of that, some people did just straight up not get seconded to prove a point, and or to show that they were a boss or they were truly sorry. Things like that.
Proud people, man.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's insane. Can you imagine just going ow, 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 ow the whole time? Wait. You're like halfway done. Wait, don't touch me. Okay. Ow, ow, ow. No, but sorry, that's fucked up. Very honorable thing. I think it's wild though. So to the part where she's actually gonna kill herself, and Engine son, he steps up. He's like, "I'll be your second."
And he's fucking like, boss, dude.
Which is crazy because he's like, "I don't want to kill her. I love her, but she's gotta have a second because like that's crazy to just stab yourself." Which is cool. She's just gonna stab herself in the heart, which I mean would still suck. But I thought she was gonna have to cut her. I was like, is she gonna open her robe right now? What's going on here? But she's just gonna stab right through the robe. Zack Snyder boobs. But Anderson comes in. He's like, also, I'm like, has he even sliced the blade? What if he just gets her in the shoulder or some shit? I was kind of worried for her.
Me too. I was like, this could be worse if he does it.
Especially after hearing Toranaga when he was young.
Yes.
The actual story was he took like 8 slashes at that guy's head to get it off.
Right.
So
that's exactly what I was thinking.
To that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, man, if he doesn't make like first strike with this, like, ooh, it's gonna be rough for her. And she's
Yeah, then
gonna
he's just chopping up his love. Like, Jesus, that's
yeah.
crazy. But thankfully he gets stopped. Ishido comes in and he throws these papers down like right before she's about to do it. And it's like, here's your permits. And then everyone's like, can I get permits? And like, yeah, of course. Like, duh. And he walks off like all angry because he knew if he
Yeah.
allowed her to kill herself, then everything would have went to shit. So he had to let people go.
Mhm.
But um she's like, oh, you can leave at morning. But man, when that scene when the shinobi come in,
Oh
you
yeah.
see yeah, Yabushige on the top there, he's drinking like on watch, and another dude comes like, hey, you can go back. He's like, oh no, I'm good. And then he's like, he knew they were coming, so I guess he like distracted that dude, stabbed that dude, let the
Mhm.
shinobi come up, get around, stab some more dudes, open the back door, shinobi start coming in. For a second I thought it was Toranaga's plan. I was
Right.
like, well, this is what his plan was, like, attack by night, because because of the episode.
Yeah,
I
Crimson
forgot what it was
Sky.
called, Crimson Sky, right?
I
Like, it was
that's
like
what
the whole
I
like,
yeah, 100%. I thought the same thing. I was like, "Oh, nice. He's letting in like his warriors." I was like, "Sick." And
yeah,
then I was like,
and I
"Wait,
was
they're
like,
just stabbing everybody in there." That
yeah, I was
doesn't
like, wait a minute, do they know?
Yeah. I was like, "Do they not
Like,
know it's them? Like why are they stabbing their own people?" And
yeah,
then
what's going on
took me
here?
a long time to figure that out. I guess I still am thinking about it.
One
Thanks for
cool
letting
thing
me
too
know.
was like when so many ran in, and then the ninja stopped and staring at him, and he's like going, and he's like counting the beats. I guess like I'm gonna go in exactly 2 minutes later or something.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
after he's like, now we go. Like, but
Yeah.
the eye contact, I was like, dude, is he trying to Morse code to Yabushige? Yabushige's like, I don't know what you're doing right now.
Yeah, yeah. He looked confused, right? Like
Yeah,
he's
it's
like,
like,
Yeah.
"What?"
is this part of the plan? Like, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
that
man, they come in and they just, dude, they can
Wreck.
clean house, dude.
Yep.
Those freaking Shinobi. That was cool. I didn't expect to even see Shinobi in this series. I kind of like it's so samurai heavy. Like I kind of forgot that like they're functioning out there. Them just coming in and racking everyone was insane, and it
yeah,
was cool
great.
seeing
Well, no, go
what's that
for it.
called?
You finish, Scott, and then I'm gonna ask Drake this question.
Oh, okay. Seeing Mariko standing her ground and the
Mm.
engine using his gun. That was
Oh,
pretty
yep,
sick.
yep,
He's like
yep,
reloading
yep.
that shit pretty quick. I like too when he shot through the wall and then ended up grabbing the guy, pulling him close, and then shooting
Yeah,
like a little above in the head. Like it's like that's
yeah,
sick. He's got
that
moves.
was dope.
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah.
the fast reload with the musket too was clutch. You're like, man,
Yeah.
he's actually really good. Like that is his sword. So when he gave that girl in the earlier episode his gun, like that was very important because it was like
Yeah.
his sidearm or piece or
Also
sword.
the way they're shaped, like he used it as a club a couple times, and
Oh,
I'm like,
yep, yep,
that's a
yep, yep,
real good
yep.
gun. Like that shit's
Yeah.
heavy as fuck. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good weapon to have.
definitely. So Drake,
Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
what are you gonna ask Trey?
what's the shinobi side of it? Were shinobi like the ninja of the samurai?
Yeah, so historically there's this old show called Abarebo Shogun. And it was essentially a shogun, and he would kind of pretend to be a peasant, and he would go in and enforce kind of the righteousness of whatever was going on at the time, and he would utilize shinobi ninja to help him out, even though it's not the most like samurai thing to do because you want to be fighting face to face. Whoever stronger wins. Shinobi
Right.
in the dark, from behind, thieving, kind of bad negative culture. But they were
Yeah.
utilized a lot during the early periods when there was a lot of the shogunate happening, and also towards what this era is, which is the Edo period. To essentially get shit done behind the scenes because they can pretty much do whatever they want outside of the idea and the Bushido code of the samurai. And it's definitely that Ishido utilized them to help kill them because he can't, right? He can't send his own samurai to do the things he needs to do. So he has to go essentially behind the whole facade in order to implement those things. And
Mm.
so most I would say shoguns and daimyos have like this sect of like shinobi or ninja that they utilize to do those things.
Wow. Okay, that's sick. Yeah. That's a perfect explanation.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm excited for Yobushige because he is upon the entire time, and Toranaga talks about the there are two different types of hawks, and Yobushige was being used, and Toranaga just knew exactly how he was gonna act and what he
Mhm.
was gonna accept, and too is like a beautiful level of understanding of the depth of not only the culture and the traditions and the practices, but then being able to like Sun Tzu it to a point where like you just know that that person's gonna do what you want them to do, even though you're not involved in it at all. It's like
Yeah,
genius.
yeah, but like this is like, but the whole time, like even though Yabashige is kind of trying to like protect his own neck, he kind of hasn't done too much against Toronaga. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
This is
Yeah.
like the
So
first time he actually like is like complete piece of shit and like doing the exact opposite of what Toronaga probably would have wanted, right? So that is like a weird thing. Like I'm assuming he's gonna get what's coming to him next episode.
well, to that point, like he is essentially not doing what Toranaga wants him to do, but Toranaga also knows what he's going to do, so it's almost at the behest of Toranaga. So will he get what's coming to him in terms of will he actually get killed off? Because he's essentially not trustworthy per se, but at the same time, if you know exactly what he's gonna do and when he's gonna do it, like is that really a threat to your reign? So
That's
yeah, it'll be
true.
very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think that leads us into, yeah, we've kind of already started talking about that final battle. They're getting through the house and they end up in that storage unit basically, and it kind of gets locked in. You know, it's Yobushige, it's the Anjin,
Anjin-sama.
yeah, it's Mariko, and it's like Torunaga's two wives, right? Or like his
Yeah.
wife and the consort.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and they can kind of tell, like, Anjin's trying to find a plan to, like, block the door. He's telling Yabashige. Yabashige's like, I don't know if he's too afraid or if he's just like, I'm just not going to help. Yeah, before I move on, what do you guys think?
That's a good point. First, I was like, "What?" Yeah, I don't know if he thought like it's gonna blow at any moment, but then also it could be like the plan is for them to get her. So maybe he's like, I don't want to stop
Right.
that. If I don't help, then they will get her.
What do
But
you think, Drake?
yeah,
Uh, it was interesting to like hear Yabashige like care for Mariko in that way, like get away from the door, and then I think Mariko had like a coming to realization moment, like, oh, I wasn't able to complete the thing because all the things kind of came together, but in this particular moment, if I can complete my purpose, or I guess what she believes to be her purpose, it's gonna propel things even more forward. Because if we think about Anjin Sama, and what he's capable of doing, what he can bring to the table, 100% that's gonna help him push all that forward, and bring everybody who trusts and loves Mariko, which is pretty much all of Toranaga's people, right? And even the people who were kind of on the fence when she was like, "Hey, I forget what's his face names, but can you second me?" Like that act is gonna help bring everybody together, and I think she realized that last moment, and I think that's something that's kind of a little underplayed of her genius in that moment as well.
yeah, I think yeah, the whole thing was like if she dies, then it'll fuck Ishido, right? Because
Hella fuck. Yeah.
it was at his. So I think that's why Ishido's plan was really like not to kill her, but to capture her. Because in a way, she wouldn't be able to leave, and he didn't break his promise because she'd still be alive. But she was like, and you know, she was over her life already. As soon as it was like, get her from the door, I'm like, she's gonna go right to that door. Like,
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah.
she's like, finally. But also, it does help because now all of Japan or whatever how big this thing is being looked at is gonna be like, whoa, we got to step in and do something. Like this isn't just a local problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking everywhere. So, do you think she's dead?
She
Yeah.
looked dead.
She looked real dead.
She
It was a
flew
full explosion.
real far.
Yeah, she's pretty dead.
She's got head trauma for sure.
She's
She's
probably
still
just in
alive.
space with a Shi'ar, guys. Okay.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I think she joined Gambit in this last episode.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, she's fully skeletoned out. There's no way she's alive. Yeah, that was just, even though I was like, no, she's good. No. I'm like, oh my God, they killed her.
Yeah.
She's such a big character, you know, and again, like we talked about how talented Anna Sawai is and all the different like little expressions like she gets across with so little. Oh man, yeah. And also like, weirdly enough, maybe this is selfish towards Anjin, I guess. I don't know, but I was like, that sucks for him. He has like nobody
Yeah.
now. Like really
Yeah.
nobody, you know, like that
I
was the
can
one
understand
person.
him now.
Yeah,
Sad
barely
face.
Besides the
anybody
fucking priest.
except for the priest. Would you see how he comes in? which like every time he's on screen, Christina's like, "That's the dumbest haircut," and I'm like, "That's how it was back then."
So the
Like,
hat fits real good.
yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, did he wear a hat there? I don't know. what
There's
that
at some point he had a hat on,
Mm.
but
Oh,
it,
really?
it fit
Oh, that's
right,
right, that's
there,
right.
and his hair would stick out.
That's right. Yeah, in the pocket,
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, it just sucks. I think that's a bummer, but I think she's going to be a big catalyst for the rest of Toranaga's people, which
Yeah.
he's lost everybody. It's like one of those things. It's like, what would you give up to win? It's
thing.
Thanos. I'd give up. Yeah. He
Yeah.
sacrificed everything, and it's like, will he even
Real
want
big
it?
picture.
Yeah, will he even want what he wants now that everybody's gone? That he had to sacrifice. I don't know, man. But
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. Oof.
it's like weird. So the way she died though is like, man, like I didn't expect to see her body go flying. It's probably like it's kind of crazy to say, but it was kind of one of the most hilarious ways to die. Like just like she goes and then they show her like boom and like launch across the screen. I'm like, oh fuck. like this character you always seen as like this poised, like beautiful, intelligent. You think she'd go out a different way, like
She's
lying
real
in
light.
bed, having the last, like it's okay. It was always this has always been what I wanted, and just like closing your eyes and dying or something.
Right.
She exploded. Like so just kind of fighting her body fly. I'm like,
Yeah, it was
that's dark, but
right at the screen too.
yeah, I was like, whoa, holy dude, like
Yeah, and it just cuts
really
the black.
jarring.
Yeah,
Yeah,
was.
really jarring.
It was not graceful, and I guess that's the point of the show. Sometimes like there's so
Yeah.
much grace, there's so much. I think you said it right, poise, and just there's just everything's so proper. And then the way people die though, it could just
It's
be
like death is
gruesome.
messy.
Yeah, death is messy. I think that's a good way to say it actually. But yeah, I don't know. Any other final thoughts on Shogun episode 9? We're in the home stretch. I mean, literally, that's it. We got one more to go.
Episode 10 has got to be a fucking doozy. Like, episode 10 is not. I don't think it's gonna disappoint, and I think it's gonna be the perfect cherry on top of that series. Is my belief.
I think this is the best, the most well put together show all year so far. There's other shows I look a little bit more forward to because of like action and like the comedy and stuff, but like when you sit down and watch this one, you're like, damn, they are doing such a good job, and it's incredible. Like the themes that they bring through, like the nothing's like fully giving to you either. I think you guys talked about like subverting the expectation, but it's just like everything is so smart. Like it's just a smart show. Like not in a like you need to be a genius to understand it, but it's just delivered in this way where I feel like anybody can understand it, yet it's still like thought provoking. And you're still like, wow, I've never thought about things that way. So yeah, it's so impressive. I love this show.
Yeah, it's so good. And it's surprising. Like this feels like I don't even know if this makes sense, but it feels like a show that you'd think you'd find on HBO or something. Like because
totally.
certain platforms have like a caliber to them, you think, but like, man, FX really. I know they make good shows, but like this show in particular feels like
Real good.
the best show they've done. Like it's crazy good,
Yeah, I agree.
Crazy good.
and it makes me excited for Isn't HBO supposed to do a Ghost of Tsushima at some point?
Oh fuck.
So like. And I'm like, is it gonna be as good as this? It better be, because like Shogun's good. Like,
yeah.
do I even need a Ghost of Tsushima now? Like,
Seriously, if it's not this good, I don't want it. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
You better come back with something greater. Yeah. Oh, man.
Ghosts.
Ghost of Tsushima would be really sick. It does. You're right. It makes me a lot more excited for that. It makes me excited for another Ghost of Tsushima game. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else is going to be coming from this time period in Japan. I know we're not getting a season 2 because they said it's a one and done, but I really am hoping that we maybe get a spin-off. That would be great. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I would be stoked if they could find a way to do a spin-off.
yeah,
for sure.
maybe
for
like
sure,
jump
for
to a different
Like
time period.
100 years
just
later.
another pivotal moment in history. Or something.
If they did like the Meiji area, the Meiji Restoration area, where essentially that's like the Last Samurai, or if they went way back to like the Heian era, where it was just straight up fucking everybody's murdering everybody, civil war all across the board.
Yeah, I mean, I'm for it either way, but yeah, we just never get things done with this much quality set in this time period, set with Japanese actors. It's like it's been so damn good. Yeah, I can't wait for. I guess we're up soon. It's coming out tomorrow, so this episode for us will be out before we've watched it, but we'll talk about it next week. Yeah, any final thoughts on Shogun or anything that we talked about tonight before we wrap this up?
If you haven't watched Shogun, go watch it. Even with the spoilers, it's great.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
mean,
good. Something
how,
special.
yeah. It's like we tell you what's happening, but for you to experience it is way different. So watch that shit, bro.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I don't think this is a show like you could tell everybody all the main spoiler points. Even like Scott's been sitting week in and week out, and
Yeah.
still like what the it just doesn't hit you the same till you watch it, or you can't even really comprehend everything. That's what's
Yeah.
so good about this show. So
Because once you're dialed in, I know it takes time to really watch it. You get subtitles and all that, but once you're dialed into the show, it really engrosses you.
Bruh.
You're just like there, and when things happen, you're like, "Oh my gosh!" Like it's so fucking good.
So good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Scott, why don't you close it out for tonight?
All right, it's been an awesome episode. We covered a lot of stuff. I know it was like a small amount of topics, but I still think we had a lot to say about them. Ooh, another long episode. I just looked at the time. All right. Well, if you made it this far, thanks for sticking it with us.
All right. Hello, everybody.
The Joystick Show. The Joystick Show.